All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour, where the escalating conflict between Russia and Ukraine has many stakeholders. Germany, a European nation which is a very close ally of the United States in the crisis, has landed itself on a bit of a slippery slope. This was when Germany's Vice Admiral Schonbach sided with Vladimir Putin in a recent interview, completely contradicting the West's stance on the crisis. In the latest, the American Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that he has no doubts whatsoever that Germany maintains a united front with NATO on the Ukrainian crisis. This has come after Berlin has faced a lot of pressure to toughen its stance against potential Russian incursion into Ukraine. Now, Ukraine's ambassador to Germany has also welcomed the resignation of the German naval chief. In a tweet, Andriy Melnyk has said that Germany was arrogant. He said that the resignation is not sufficient to restore Ukraine's trust in Germany. Now, Kay-Achim Schonbach stepped down from his position of Germany's Vice Admiral on Saturday. This after he drew a lot of criticism for saying that Russian President Vladimir Putin actually deserves respect and that Kiev will never be able to win back the Crimean region that was annexed by Russia back in 2014. Now, Schonbach made these remarks during a think tank discussion in India. He was speaking in New Delhi, and Schonbach said that Putin seeks to be treated as an equal by the West. The remarks came at a very sensitive time when the tensions between Russia and Ukraine are at an all-time high. Russia has positioned tens of thousands of its troops at its borders with Ukraine, and the West suspects and also estimates that Russia is poised to carry out an incursion into Ukraine at a moment of its choice. For its part, though, Russia has publicly denied that it has any plans of carrying out an invasion into Ukraine. The diplomatic efforts are underway to prevent a further escalation of this crisis. Schonbach later said that Russia's actions need to be addressed. However, he also added that the Crimean Peninsula is gone and it is unlikely that it will ever come back into Ukraine again. This statement directly contradicts the official position of the West of the annexation of Crimea by the Russians in 2014, that it cannot be accepted, and therefore the West, of course, demands that the annexation of Crimea needs to be reversed. Now, Germany's defense ministry has also criticized the remarks by its own vice admiral and said that it does not reflect the stated position of the German nation, either in its content nor in its wordings. Germany has said that Schonbach's comments could impair West's efforts to de-escalate the situation. Meanwhile, EU's foreign ministers will be meeting later in the day today, and they'll try to align their response with that of the United States. Antony Blinken will be briefing the diplomats on his talks with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov that he held in Geneva on Friday. The two sides, remember, had failed to reach any kind of a breakthrough, but they've agreed, however, to keep working and talking with each other to ease tensions. Blinken is vowed to provide a written response this week to Moscow. Remember, Moscow has laid down a series of some pretty concrete demands to meet its security challenges. And they also want a guarantee from the West that Ukraine will not be given admission into the NATO military alliance. And also, we earlier spoke with our correspondent Stuart Smith. He's been tracking the story very closely for us, and this is the report that he sent us. Listen in.
Well, from the Kremlin, all of this is a huge overreaction to a threat that it says does not exist and will not exist. Let's be clear, the Kremlin most recently announced once again that the claims Russia is imminently about to invade Ukraine are empty and unfounded escalation of what is tension created by the West in its sending of support, military support in terms of equipment, economic support in terms of funds, and political support in terms of statements to Ukraine. The Kremlin sees all of this as a situation which is being made worse by these comments from foreign governments, the United States included, about the situation. And we're also seeing an interesting divergence where Ukraine is now frequently downplaying the risk, saying that nothing has materially changed in 8 years. Russia's always been a threat and they have been at war with Russia for that time, and calling the US and UK's departure of certain the families of diplomatic staff and some diplomats on a voluntary basis premature. That's in contrast to what the UK said at the weekend regarding this intelligence report that Russia is planning to change the government in Kyiv, and also what the United States is doing with reports that Joe Biden is considering not sending troops to Ukraine, to be clear, but potentially sending a few thousand troops to NATO member states close to Russia. So on one side we have quite the escalation in rhetoric and planning, and the EU foreign ministers are in Brussels today to talk further about how the European Union countries would respond should Russia invade Ukraine.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.